Of course, the first thing that comes to mind when you see this piece is she's going to make a handbag. Of course, I'm obviously going to make a handbag, but it's going to have something special because I remember I had another bit of trousers, of jeans around, so I'm going to make a bigger handbag. If you're like me and you love sewing and upcycling, consider subscribing because I upload twice a week and that way you don't miss anything. And I leave you here the link or the name of my Instagram account in case you want to have a look at my everyday life and all the projects I'm preparing. They're there. This pair is from years ago. I kept this because I like all the different things, the features it has. It has a really nice button on the front and then the pockets. It has loads of embroidery and loads of details, and I love the top stitching in orange, and I think they'll go together really nice. I remember them being really uncomfortable. And I have some faux leather for the strap. I'm not sure how I'm going to sew this because depending on how my machine behaves and how I can manage. When you fold this, it gets really thick and my machine suffers a little bit, so let's see how I do it. I don't know if I'm going to put some rings on the sides or not, or straight to the sides. We'll see, we'll see. So I'm going to start by cutting open the crotch line and making the bottom bit even. So to make a bigger handbag, my plan is to put one pair of trousers inside the other, like this. But the problem is that the feature I like the most of the blue trousers is the pockets, the back pockets, which I'm losing if I do this, because you won't be able to see them. So what I'm going to do is to cut around them and overlap them on top of the brown ones, so you can see them. Let's see how I manage, because it's loads of layers of fabric and thicker fabric, so let's see how we do. And to do so, I'm going to give a little bit of fabric. I'm going to leave it there between the pockets so the other one can be sewn there and it's not a risky seam, or I haven't got enough seam allowance and it rips. And then I'm going to get rid of the belt loops because they're in the way. They're right underneath the pocket seam and they're going to be too much fabric to sew. They're not going to be seen, so I'm just getting rid of them. And I love how this is turning out. Now that I've seen it, I realize that I've seen this before at shops, like really trendy skirts, so maybe it would have been a nice skirt. But what I like the most is the back. Look at this. And the most curious thing is that the pockets are perfectly useful because I sewed them on all around it, not on top. So you can use them the same as the ones underneath, of course. So that's really good. Not that you're going to put anything valuable out there, but it's fun that you can see that they are perfectly used. And one thing I did as well is the bottom. I just sew it right sides together and then I pinched the corners like 3 centimeters, so it can have like a proper bottom space to have your things comfortably. It's going to be a massive bag, isn't it? But with the amount of stuff I sometimes carry with my son and everything, I think it's going to be great. I didn't have any problems sewing it at all. I don't know why, and I don't know why I had so many problems sewing this, because it's the same, and this is even worse because I have all the pair of trousers and jeans underneath, so it's ridiculous. The only thing I did is that I used needles from a Singer brand, from the brand. So I don't know if maybe that's the thing, that they are better needles. The other ones were these Schmidt that you get at haberdasheries that are good quality. I've never had problems, but even though it was the same number for thick materials, for thick fabrics, 110, 16, they were better. They've worked perfectly fine. I haven't had any issues at all. So I'll take that into account. And now the lining. For the lining I have this brown poplin, and I'm going to be making it with this really easy. I'm going to trace the same shape of the handbag, sew it all around, and then I'm going to make 2 pockets, 2 like open pockets to put things out of 2 rectangles of fabric, and I'm going to fold the top twice and hem it so it's durable, and then the other 3 sides I'm just going to fold once and top stitch all around it. And when I get to the corner, as always, I lift the needle in, lift the presser foot, and then turn my fabric and go on sewing. And I want a zipper because I like handbags with zippers, so I'm going to sew the zipper to the lining, leaving like a big seam allowance, and I think the seam allowance is what I'm going to sew to the handbag. So let's see how that works. Just really easy, making sure I sew it properly, and let's see. Now the handle. For the handle I have these pieces of faux leather I still have left. I'm going to use this longer one, and yes, because it's the longest one I have, I'm going to use this one, and it's going to be this length. Yes, that's okay. So maybe you have a longer piece and you make it more of a messenger bag, that's fine. So this one is, for example, 66 centimeters long, and I'm going to cut it like 8 centimeters so I can fold twice and sew. And I'm quite annoying, but crossing fingers that my machine works properly. I'm using the presser foot with the little rolls, so it helps me. Maybe I could have used it with everything. And now handbag, lining and handle, I'm going to put everything together. So I'm going to start by putting the lining in the handbag, even though I'm not really sure how I'm going to sew it together. Let's see how this works out. So I've decided to sew it by hand to the waistband, but on the inside, of course, because I've been paying attention to detail, sewing, for example, the pockets all around, and if I sew now the lining, I'm going to have a very ugly seam on top of the waistband, and I don't want that. So I'm going to sew it by hand. It's going to take some time, but I think it'll be worth it. I'm quite happy with the lining and how it is sewn in the handbag. At first I wasn't very neat sewing it because I'm not used to sewing by hand, but then once I calmed down and started stitch by stitch, it looked much better, so I'm quite pleased with it. It's just like how I wanted it. And for the handle, I'm going to sew it just to the sides, to each end, inside the zipper, so in between the handbag and the lining, so you don't see the ends and it's nicely and neat, because I'm not going to use any rings or anything like that. And with this, the handbag is finished. It looks cool. I'm quite pleased at how it turned out. It's just as I imagined it, and I love the detail on the back pockets, how you can still use them, and they are sewn on top of the other pair. I think it looks quite neat. And of course I like the handle as well. I think it's a good option to just sew it to the side if you don't want to add any rings, or if you're afraid of sewing too many layers of fabric, because maybe sewing all the leather to one end will have been too much. So let me know down in the comments what you thought. I haven't got any complaints today. The only thing I'm curious about is the needle, how the single needle is much stronger than the other ones, to the point that the other day I broke 3 needles and today it's been smooth. So let me know what you think about that, and don't forget to subscribe, and I'll leave you a link to all the upcycling projects I've made, like the pinafore I'm wearing. And of course in the description box below I'll leave you more information, as well as another list to handbags, all the handbags I've made. Bye!